So I guess the first attempt was in January 2018, wherein I had enrolled for a classroom coaching program. At that time, I was just kind of wanting to have an understanding of what am I getting myself into, what does it take to crack an exam like GMAT. I did not have a hard and fast goal at that point of time because I want to improve my profile as well. I wanted to collect a lot more work experience. I had a new job, and I just enrolled for that program, for that classroom program, to get an understanding of what I am going to do in the next 1 year or so. So during my preparation journey, I realized that I was focusing more or less on the shortcuts part and not the logic or the comprehension behind why does something happen the way it happens. So I believe cracking an aptitude exam, it's an amalgamation of 3 individual attributes. One is your strong fundamentals. That is like sacrosanct. If that doesn't happen, you'll anyway falter. Second is your stamina, like your ability to stand a test for 3.5 to 4 hours continuously with 100% focus there. Third is your ability to manage the clock. So if you can handle that pressure, you are supposed to answer the question within 100 seconds or so. So an individual has to work on each of these 3. There are a lot of other elements, but I believe eventually they do fall in place. Right. So in my first attempt, I think I faltered on the first one dramatically. My fundamentals weren't strong. So I was focusing more on the shortcuts. If you talk about a sentence correction, that's the methodology of most of the institutes in India. That you see a question, you look at the option, you see if there is something error, a comma, ing rule is not happening and all that, and you quickly mark the answer. But that approach, of course, there are a lot of exceptions to grammar. Nothing is like standardized there, right? So if GMAT is putting forward a trick question wherein you have to answer that by understanding the meaning of that question, I will get it wrong, more or less. That was the first thing. Secondly, I was quite weak in reading comprehensions and I did not put in much effort to improve them. So I was just kind of okay with what is my current skill, I'll go with that itself. So that is one of the reasons I could not score well in that exam. I ended up with a V27 and Q50. Quant was quite strong at that point of time. I had just given CAT last year. So I did not actually prepare for Quant at all and I scored a Q50. So I was fairly confident in that piece. In the second attempt, I did not focus too much on building my stamina. I was solving the questions, the sectional tests, some here and there, but I was not being honest with myself. I was not giving myself an ample time to build that stamina, give a lot of mock tests. That is true. So in the second attempt, I improved on my verbal score. I scored a V31 and Q49. Quant actually dropped a bit. So it boiled down to about 660, I recall. After that point of time, I was very, very clear on what I need to do. Where am I going wrong? But I kind of got a bit exerted. So I chose to give it a break from my studies. I did not study for the next 6 months because I was anyway not planning to apply in that year because my work experience was quite new at that point of time. And I wanted to build a very strong profile to justify my future goals and stuff. So till April to December, I did not study at all. And in December, I kind of pulled myself back and I enrolled for the program again. The most intimidating section, that is a verbal section, I was giving 80% of my time in improving that. Hardly I was studying Quant at all. Right. So I started with the most difficult part, that was sentence correction. So in e-GMAT, I got to understand the nitty-gritties. For example, there's a difference between do it and do so. I never thought of it previously. Neither was such nitty-gritties available on any of the other content on sources available. Even if you refer to a Manhattan or you refer to the GMAT official guide and so many other things. I had been to a lot of sources of content and stuff. Now, these were the nitty-gritties which were very elaborately given on the platform. And not only that, I also got to understand the reason behind it. why is the difference between do it and do so? What is the use case? And when you get to understand the use case, you need not memorize this stuff at all. It is as logical as your quant. So when you know the examples and you know the use cases, that is something which took my sentence correction to an amazingly next level. So I also started giving sectional tests. If I just categorize that into 2 cohorts, in my first cohort, I was getting an accuracy of about 60%. And let's say 20 days before my exam, my accuracy jumped to 85-90%. With time, with practice, it became very easy for me to figure out errors. So I would just read a sentence and I would see there are 2-3 errors. If I go with elimination, where I just need to pick one error, and I would scan through the options. Out of 5 options, 3 options has the same error. So I need not, give it a glance ever again. I would just sit on the other 2 left, and I would try and mark my answer.
So what made identifying that error easy? Was it the meaning? You would focus on the meaning and say this doesn't make sense?
Yes. One, it was definitely the meaning, and second, it was all those nitty-gritties of the grammar and difference in when and where and how to use difference between has, had, and have. A lot of things, placement of modifiers. So these are very common errors which are repetitive in all these SC questions. Not very difficult to grasp and understand.
Okay.
Critical reasoning, again, I recall all the questions on the Scholaranium there. And again, if I categorize that into 2 cohorts, the first was with very less accuracy, 50-60%. Second was about more than 80%.
Okay. And again, did you use the pre-thinking approach?
Yes, I did. Not on a very high level, but yes, I did so. Yes, so the quizzes were very helpful. So, I used to study about 3 hours in the night, almost every day, or let's say every alternate day, 11 to 2. And the course is something which does help you concentrate, right? So if you have all these quizzes and questions in between of the tests, tests kind of make sure that you are actually concentrating and you are not just skipping through the content. So the quizzes just help, and the explanations are very, very elaborative. Very, very elaborative. So never once I was in a situation wherein I could not comprehend the logic behind something which I did wrong, and I was looking out for some external support. Please help me understand. However, that is also there. The facility is given there. You can ask your queries, but never once it was required, at least for me.
I know. I saw